Hello there everybody, this is Gmodon, and this is a top 10 video for my favorite SCPs. One of the more popular questions I get are people asking what my favorite SCPs are, and I figured why not just go for a top 10 list of my favorites. Please keep in mind that I haven't read every single SCP out there. I've probably read even less than you would imagine. So note that this list could very well change over time the more SCPs I read and discover. But for now, these are definitely my top 10 favorite SCPs. In each number, there will be an annotation to the dedicated reading of the SCP if you'd like to learn more about it. Now, on to the list. Personally, I love tattoos. I think they're an amazing form and expression of art because it takes a lot of dedication to want to have something permanently etched onto your skin for the rest of your life. I've even got my own tattoo, a tattoo of my mother's name on my left wrist, and I plan to definitely get more tattoos in the future. I feel as though that's why I like this SCP so much, simply because it's a tattoo that comes alive within your skin, and it's a dragon to boot. I love dragons. Not to mention, it makes those with this living dragon tattoo on their bodies stronger in practically every aspect. Honestly, this SCP is on this list largely because I find that it contrasts its beauty and horror so well. This red pool, which is located in Canada, seems to consist of some liquid that has the same consistency as blood, even though biologically, it's not. What's even cooler about this SCP is there's no known bottom to the pool, but disturbing creatures, sometimes even seemingly normal humans, seem to rise from it from time to time. Many of them tend to be hostile, but it begs the question, where did these creatures come from, and why? Alright, I admit it, I'm a huge fan of zombies. Zombies in general have held my interest for quite some time, which can be blamed on a lot of zombie movies I watched when I was younger. Dawn of the Dead, 28 Days Later, Shaun of the Dead, Dead Alive, and Resident Evil are just a few of the movies I loved watching when I was younger. And of course, there's The Walking Dead, which I will admit I'm incredibly obsessed with both the comics and the show itself to this day. There's even some zombie video games I'm into. Needless to say, at this point, I love zombies. So of course this SCP has to make it onto this list. And there's nothing much else to say on that. I just love zombies. A lot. I'm not completely sure what attracts me to this SCP. I'd actually gotten several requests to read it and put it off for quite a while, but when I finally got around to reading it, I found myself just enjoying it. Just in an odd sort of way, enjoying it. Maybe it's the fact that such messed up things happen to seemingly normal people, the mysteriousness of their real-life disappearance, or even the ambiguity of the show host himself. Whatever it is about this SCP, I find it as entertaining as I do disturbing. When I first got into SCP files, even before this channel was made, SCP-478 was one of the first entries I ever read on the site. As I've explained before, teeth are just a part of the body that really grosses me out, which I can probably thank my childhood dentist for because he was a pretty horrible dentist and made me borderline phobic of dentistry. The very idea of excess teeth growing all throughout your body after you receive seemingly normal symptoms of a cold is enough to make me cringe and cement itself onto this list. This SCP is on this list probably more for its aesthetic qualities than anything else. I simply love these sheep created out of phone cords. Their ability to allow anyone to customize their own dreams is definitely a cool concept that I found fascinating in its own right. Not to mention, the Oniari is possibly one of my favorites in Greek mythos. Being an integral part of the SCP definitely adds to its overall appeal. However, the effect of using these SCPs, having your head slowly turn into a rotary phone and soon into just another instance of the corded phone sheep, gives this SCP that right amount of terror that I love. For as long as I can remember, space has been such an amazing and fascinating thing for me. Looking out into the stars and wondering just what was out there, why, and how far away some things were. Still, to this day, I love looking up at the stars and wondering what's out there. This SCP really takes that to a whole new level. Not only is it a little box that creates an entire living and expanding universe, but the implications of such a thing existing brings bigger questions to the table for our own existence. I love this SCP simply because it makes me think so much. It really opens the mind to possibilities that I've never considered before. That we all might just be a little science experiment in some kid's room that could get turned off at any moment. As a writer, this SCP just makes me so excited about the possibilities. Being able to be transported into a fictional world where you're the hero for anywhere from 45 seconds to 200 years once you sleep sounds absolutely amazing. Ever since I was little, I've always loved escaping into fictional worlds, either through reading or writing my own stories. Being able to experience an entirely fictional world in the span of a normal night's sleep would be absolutely incredible. This is an SCP that I truly wish would be a reality, possibly above all others. For the longest time, this SCP used to be my top favorite SCP, and some days I feel as though it still ties pretty closely for that #1 spot. I've explained before in my Q&A video that I love Fallout type situations, and the idea of an underground London being there in case of any kind of nuclear warfare driving us beneath the ground is just so incredibly fascinating and cool to me. I feel as though Fallout shelters represent the very essence of human survival and our will to continue living even in the face of complete and total destruction. So this SCP being a functioning Fallout Victorian-era London city makes me love it all the more. From the moment I read it, I always thought this SCP was pretty cool, but I never really considered it to be my top favorite SCP until recently. I'm also not entirely sure what draws me to these voice-imitating lizards, but there's just something about them that's both fascinating and terrifying all in one go. Personally, reptiles have always been my favorite kind of animals, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. Either way, SCP-939 have the ability to both frighten me and interest me, and I feel that's what puts them as my #1 SCP. There you have it, my top 10 favorite SCPs. Please remember that this is all just in my opinion, and I'd love to hear about your own top favorite SCPs in the comments. Thanks for joining me on this reading. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.